Isn't that true? Like about everything?
It
Okay, like
is. There's very few sure things really in life where it's like, oh, this was always going to happen this way.
yeah,
But even in the
like
primaries and stuff,
remember one time the Raiders were going to win a game.
that's really funny. One time the Indians weren't going to get no hit. It was really cool.
Did they get no hit?
Yeah, last night 8-zip.
Oh, did they?
Yeah,
Well, that's because they weren't trying. That's because they weren't trying. I would like to. I don't know if you've listened to this yet. It's at the top of the Mediaite, and
okay.
it's a clip of Jim Jordan haranguing Dr. Fauci with Jim Clyburn and take basically telling him to shut the fuck up, but then being topped by Maxine Waters telling Jim Jordan to shut the fuck up. Okay, it's pretty good. Okay, it's.
I mean, this
high
sounds like a
level.
reasonable, non-provocative question. When do we get our liberties back? Tell me the
Yes,
number.
yeah. Well,
It's a reasonable question.
What I see, and I don't know why this Fauci wants to avoid the answer. He just won't give us an answer.
When do wrestlers stop getting raped, Jim? Give me the number. Give me the date.
No, when did you stop knowing about what happened at Ohio State? What date was that? Give us the exact date.
Wasn't that the classic National Lampoon Radio Hour thing that they did on what did the president know and when did he stop knowing it? Wasn't that?
Yeah, no, I don't think that's from that. That's more recent than that.
Is it? That was so funny.
Yeah. But so this morning between 8 and 10, we're supposed to have the air conditioning Barrico come out there, so nobody shows up.
Oh, good.
It's a big deal. So then at 11, she shows up. She comes in. She's very nice, and I said, just for reference sake, it was supposed to be between 8 and 10, and she goes, well, I know nothing about that. My schedule said someone else, and then you were the number 2 on the schedule. I said, okay, well, obviously it's not your fault. And the person that you talk to you do this, you talk to somebody at the air conditioning place. They're probably 9 levels removed from the people out in the field. Okay.
Right.
But the woman that I talked to, she sounds like Patty and Selma from The Simpsons. Okay. She sounds like she's been smoking since the 1930s every day. Okay. And I don't even have it in me to call her up and say, you messed up. It doesn't, because it just doesn't matter.
It's the great Julie Kavner. The great Julie Kavner
Is
from the Rhoda
Is she the
show.
voice on those?
Yeah, she does Marge. She does Marge and she does those too.
Yeah, they're gonna be out there between 8 and 10 this morning.
Also, Tony Banta's sister on Taxi. She was all of those things. Us baby boomers in our TV, right? Do you remember that the guy that played Carlton, your doorman, Lorenzo Music, he had a novelty a record called Hi, It's Your Doorman or something like that? It was like a novelty song that he put out.
I think he was like one of the original writers on Mary Tyler Moore.
He was.
I think that's what he did. And then if you would meet him, you'd go, if you were Larry King, you'd say, so what comes first, the words or the music?
Yeah. Why was?
And he'd think it's funny.
Mary Tyler Moore. Why was she so great? What's the deli in LA where Larry King would always get breakfast?
Was it Nate and Al's?
I think it was Nate and Al's.
Nate and Al's. There's like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah.
What is it? Cantors. I don't know. I first one to admit to you, I don't know my
your LA shit.
LA delis. I really don't. All right, I got nothing again so far.
Oh.
I thought it was going to work and it didn't work. Just remember, you're not allowed to cast any aspersions on Officer Chauvin because he's not testifying.
No,
Taking
it
the
means
fifth doesn't
nothing.
mean that you're
It
guilty.
means nothing.
Doesn't mean a thing.
And it very well could have been carbon monoxide poisoning. We'll just never know.
You know, he's like General Galen, whatever his name. He's got all this information in him.
Galen
just can't. He just can't get it out.
There's a tickle in my throat.
He can't get it out. Come on.
I have an argument right now that could. Oh Jesus! I have an argument
like
that can
to.
destroy you, but I have a tickle in my throat. Oh God! That and the karate chop to the throat. Holy shit! I took a karate chop to the throat back in Korea, and just every now and again, my voice goes into falsetto for no reason. It's just an intermittent problem.
You know how slow I said things were going yesterday?
Even slower
That's
today?
that's twice as fast as it is today. Let's try this version.
Oh, that's cute. Fox News reports that BLM clenched fist symbol has little known communist history, according to critics.
Do you get those as notifications?
No, I was just Googling something and it came up.
Okay, because if you don't get the Fox News notifications on your phone, you're really missing.
Oh, I am some craziness?
No, it's not that. It's that you get their complete distortion of every story that you're going to see over any period of time. They'll twist it and distort the headline every time. It's like with the story about Nancy Pelosi saying no, we're not on board with adding 4 justices. If they were going to send that out as a notification, they would say, if Nancy Pelosi says something that shocked the world. Okay, it's always just something. They never ever give the story. It's just the worst. All right, I'm feeling better. I think we're going to have it here. Let me check.
That's the story. That's the story from Fox News.
Oh man, I can't believe it's doing this. Shut it down.
It says you shared it on my notifications. Oh, he's gone. He's coming back. He'll be back, everybody. Don't you worry. I don't know what that is. We are one Brad short of a Brad and Britt cast, but he's coming back. I've just received notification. So worry not, people. If I do this, is Little Russian hell? That is the question. Yes. Just a slight issue today, George. I think Brad's going to be coming back in just a moment. Hi, there he is. And welcome back.
All right.
Last time I checked, you were all shared.
Yeah, but not on mine. Mine is the one that I think shut down. It won't continue. It's going to die at a certain point. So
You think
I feel
so?
like do it. It's as if it's as if I did nothing. I think because the picture's just you. Okay.
Oh, is
So
it? Well, it should be you in just a moment.
No,
Yeah, there you go.
All right. Good enough. We don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. All right, let's get going. It is the Brad and Britt cast. We're glad you're with us here. It's our last one for this week. And a program note for all of you who plan your lives around being with us live in the 1:40, the 1:40 Eastern hour. No Brad and Britt cast on Monday and Tuesday. Here's why. Britt has gotten a tryout with the LA Raiders ahead of the NFL draft. They're thinking of picking him up as a quarterback.
Sure.
So you'll be flying straight to Las Vegas after we get done today, and you'll be back
That's right.
for next Wednesdays.
We're looking forward to workout day. It's going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to seeing how that's going to work out. So yes, we'll see you on Wednesday back here next time.
Right. And of course, Las Vegas is now crowded and teeming with coronavirus super spreader events 24/7. So it'll be
That's
great.
what I hear.
It'll be great. You'll love it. You'll get to test whether being vaccinated really does inoculate you from idiots. And it probably
We'll
does.
see. I'd like an inoculation from idiots. That's for sure. I could use that for sure.
Idiots. Yeah. Hey, you know what? Let's start out with a wonderful piece of audio. Hope it works here. This is courtesy of the media, folks. They picked it up from a hearing today in Congress, and this is where Dr. Fauci has to sit there in front of Maxine Waters' committee. I can't remember which committee she's the head of now, the House Oversight Committee or something like that. And just based on the fact that a black woman is in charge of that committee, automatically every Republican hates America, hates the government, hates what we've become, and wishes that Maxine Waters was back in full slavery mode. Would that be a fair way to characterize that? That
it's a
black woman should. Right.
It's the House Select Subcommittee on the Coronavirus Crisis. That's the official name of what this is. Yeah.
All right. So involved in the discussion here are James Clyburn, right, the number 3 Democrat in the House, and Jim Jordan, and of course, Dr. Fauci. And then at the end, Maxine Waters gets in there. And I know this is kind of a long setup, but I want to get the setup correct because I cannot think of anything more irritating that I've heard for the last, well, almost more than a year now. Because, we know how the business works. We know what news people need to do, have to do, or kind of forced to do in a perfunctory manner when they have guests on. They have to ask certain kinds of questions. But to over and over and over again, and now I'm talking just about news people who do this. It's bad enough when they do it. When are we going to get back to normal? And they will ask this of every doctor, every government official. When are we going? As if anybody knows, based on all the variables that right. Almost hour by hour, how many people are getting vaccinated?
October the 7th, October the 22nd.
What time of the day, Mr. Whitmire? Will you tell us, Mr. Whit?
Yeah. 8 minutes past noon. It's going to be that's the exact time when everything's going back to normal. Dumbasses.
It's as if none of these people are parents or were ever children and know that the dumbest thing that you can ask, but kids do it, is when are we going to get there? Are we there yet?
Are we there yet?
No, we're not there yet. I'll let you know when we're there. When are we going to be able to get back to normal?
If you have to ask, then we're not there yet, dumbass.
We're not there yet, and we're not actually sure. So here's the exchange roll.
Comes down, what number do we get our liberties back? Tell me the number. Tell me the number.
When 90% of the members of Congress get vaccinated.
But you're not a doctor, Mr. Clyburn. He is. What is the number? I can't.
Thank you for recognizing me, Mr. Clyburn. Thank you.
Not recognized as 5 minutes.
I'd like my question answered.
I don't want. Reclaiming my time. Reclaiming my time. Regular order.
No,
just a moment.
Mr. Chairman, I don't want you to answer my question. The American people want Dr. Fauci to answer the question. What does it have to be?
Sir. If you need to respect the chair and shut your mouth.
I'm sure this is going to be seen as a huge overstep. This woman has done too much. She's overstepped, and she needs to, as you say, head back to the plantation. Right? Is that
right? That is the takeaway. She disrespected Jim Jordan. Right?
I'm feeling some uppityness. Yeah. I'm feeling a little uppityness. What a stupid, provocative it is. Like you said, it's the dumbest question. Yeah, August. I'm 29th. It's going to be at 3 a.m. Everything's going to be back to normal then, and you can continue on with your lives. How stupid are these people, really?
And not only that, they also want some attempt by someone like Fauci to give a date so that when that date passes and everything isn't back to the way it was in 2018, they can accuse Dr. Fauci of again lying.
Okay? Right. That's the deal.
The same way that until we die, Britt, they will say that Fauci lied about masks because first he said we don't need them. And
that's right.
It doesn't matter that the situations changed and the supply of masks changed and suddenly it was obvious that we needed. It doesn't matter. Fauci lied. That's what they that's what they want you to believe. So there it is. That's my opening card on the table there. What do you got?
That's very interesting. I did notice to you that Fox News moved this a couple of minutes ago. The BLM clenched fist symbol has little known communist history, according to critics. That's
Little
new
known.
Little known. No one was aware of it.
Oh, wait a minute. So before you read, is there an actual story?
It's
there
not.
to
It's
read?
like it's
Okay.
yeah,
Well,
there it is.
Let me,
I'm showing the title.
I know.
I'm going to show you the title of it here on our deal on our live stream here. It is an actual story that they've actually moved.
Okay. Because I guess my first question, as a naive person, you mean nobody ever clenched a fist until the commies came along? Really?
So those guys
really?
at the
they invented the clenched fist. Okay. Yeah.
The symbol of a clenched raised fist is ascendant among Black Lives Matter protesters, but critics of the symbol note its origin and long use with critics. People say
who are the critics of? Was that one person who blogged something or a Twitter remark by someone? See, this is what they do. This is all Fox does. It's 24/7. If you get their notifications on you, this is all they ever do. It's all day long. This shit.
It is a symbol used by movements that establish oppressive systems, as every system established along Marxist lines have been, says Murray Bissett, a former professor of government at Morehead State University, now with the Victims of Communism Memorial Foundation. And I know what you're wondering. Yes, Morehead State, they are the racers, Brad. That is what they are known as in Kentucky. The raised fist is primarily used by organizations and movements that are heavily influenced by Marxism, broadly understood. That's what Bissett says.
Hey, Britt, is there any person that you can think of in, say, let's pick a sport, baseball, who when they hit a home run doesn't raise their fist?
All of them.
In fact, you know what the most famous raised fist baseball moment I can think of is when Kirk Gibson hit that amazing home run. He was crippled. He couldn't walk. He was and he comes in for the Dodgers. He was pinch hitting, right?
Correct.
He wasn't even playing in the game. He pinch hits the home run. And Vin Scully's poetry is etched in baseball fans' minds forever. And as he rounded the bases, I can see it right now. He had a clenched fist. But on the other hand, it's fair to say Kirk Gibson was a communist.
Major league communist. Big time Marxist. Those guys, it originated, didn't it originate as kind of a symbol of stuff? Was it before the guys in Mexico City did that thing when they did when they received their medals and had the...
I'm sure in 10,000 years ago in ancient Egypt before people did that. It's not a thing. It's not worth discussing. That's the point. That's what they do. They invent shit that doesn't mean anything. And then we have to talk about it because some people feel that they may have a point and therefore yada yada. Okay. So
in COVID-19 news, the Johnson & Johnson pause will continue, and it says in the New York Times it shakes vaccination campaigns worldwide. It gives those people who were doubters, who were skeptics, who were hesitant, it's given them lots of ammunition. There's not really a lot of data to support their problems. As you pointed out, it's 6 in 6 million that we've had problems with. There was one fatality, so one fatality out of 6 million, which seems like pretty good odds, but they paused and continued that pause as to do their due diligence on this.
Well, statistically, of course, it's not a big deal. But if you're that person, and I can tell you from personal experience here, my son and his wife got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in Asheville. Guess when? On Sunday, the day before. Oh, the day before. Now, in retrospect, if you would have known that this would be a big thing the next day, would you have said, okay, I can wait. I'll wait for a Moderna or a Pfizer vaccine to come along, and I'll take that, and I'll have a 0%, absolute 0% chance of having these kinds of side effects. Of course you would. Everyone would right now. And there's really nothing you can do to change human nature. And people who have the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in them are closely monitoring themselves, maybe more than they would. And if they feel bad after the vaccine for a few days, you want to make sure that it's not these symptoms that we're talking about that might lead to something more serious. There's no question about that. But taking it out to the world, it's a different story. Because, and this counts for the United States too. Remember, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine and the AstraZeneca vaccine, which is now, I think, banned in Europe. They're not giving it out in Europe. I think Johnson & Johnson's down the same road there. Nobody's getting it there. Those vaccines, their technology is more old school. It's not the fancy RNA new technology that the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccines are. And it turns out, at least so far, that the new technology is definitely better. You can say that with pretty good confidence here because there have been no side effects like that are that serious. That being said, again, here we go. In the time that you and I are speaking, probably more people have died from coronavirus
Sure.
who weren't vaccinated with anything.
Sure.
Just in the United States and certainly in the world. So if you want to play the odds, of course, you get whatever vaccine you can. And we all know what we were saying about the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. It was a one-shot deal, and that was going to make it better to give to people in the middle of nowhere who weren't going to show up for their second appointment because they don't have a smartphone to remind them to come to. We know all those facts, but
you can't just call Uber out in the middle of nowhere sometimes to get somebody to take you to the appointment.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But the problem is we live in a complete world of insanity and idiocy. And since this has happened, it has given fuel to the anti-vaxxers, the doubters, the conspiracy theorists, and everyone else. And it really shouldn't. It should actually be the opposite of that, because it's the United States, above all other countries, being the most transparent in saying, we've got a problem with 6 people. We're going to investigate it. Stop the music here. We think we'll be able to get back to it, but we're going to. What would you rather have had? Them do what they're doing right now and be extra cautious out of the, I hate ever to say the phrase abundance of caution, so I didn't say it. But they did that, versus covering it up, pretending that it didn't matter, having a meeting in a room somewhere saying, well, it's only 1 in a million. Fuck it. You can't do that. No. And you shouldn't do that.
No. So
the system actually is working. To everybody who's got the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the vast majority, almost every one of them, except for a few, are doing just fine. Even if a few days afterwards you have some aches and things of that sort, it clears up and you move on and you're vaccinated. But the Times article points it out, and so do other people, that if the doubters and the folks like that have been looking for that, here's proof. 6 people out of 6 million got really, really sick and 1 died. Oh my God, no one should get vaccinated. This is proof. I'll take my chances. Okay, you go ahead. You do that, but that just slows everything down. And that makes it more difficult for Dr. Fauci to answer Congressman Jim Jordan's pointed, important question that, of course, he should be asking, which day? Fauci should have said, well, I had July 3rd, except fuckwads like you have helped sow doubt into everything that the government does. So because of that, combined with what's happened with Johnson & Johnson, I'm going to have to move that to November 1st. You like that, Jim? He can't say that, but we can, because, well, we're a podcast.
We're a podcast. That's what we're
say. Podcast. Sort of it doesn't matter. It's unfortunate. It's bad, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There is a great, and it's short. I should probably post it. It's easy to find. It's from, I can't remember whether it's from this week or last week's New Yorker. It's not one of the New Yorker 12,000 word things. It's a short piece. but it talks again about the polio epidemic and the rolling out of the vaccine, which has taken on kind of a romantic, oh, it was so great then, oh, we could do it then, we suck now. And the facts are not quite as smooth as it turned out to be. First of all, there was at some point a bad batch of polio vaccine that was given out, and a bunch of people died.
Did that come from Baltimore too? Did that come from Baltimore? I think Baltimore's the problem. Baltimore's the issue here.
But there's just nothing funnier than children dying of a bad vaccine, Britt. Sure. Keep going. But you can do that because, well,
on a podcast. I don't have a 10 o'clock meeting after the show with the program director.
You can say it. I say go for it.
Go for the. There's not some Jiffy Lube owner who got a bear up his ass in the morning and is going to call and say cancel all his advertising because of that.
Right.
Yeah.
But anyway, that happened, and at the moment that the vaccine was rolled out, when it was announced to the world, and there was literally dancing in the streets of the United States, they had I don't know, it was a press conference or a couple of speeches that were given by Dr. Salk, the polio, and this other guy who was apparently just as instrumental as him. He was the Steve Wozniak of the polio vaccine, whose name nobody knows. And they had a big fight over the way it was presented, over how effective the polio vaccine was going to be at the beginning. It was very, very ugly. But when those deaths occurred, what happened? And remember, that was a lot of death. It was more deaths than just 6, and it was because of a bad batch of the vaccine. Did we say, all right, well, that's it, nobody should get no. There was a rational discussion of it in the country, and parents said, no, my kid is still going to get vaccinated because it's clearly more important that they be protected from polio than for me to overreact to the bad batch that was made. So that was a long time ago, though. There was no social media. There was none of that to spread complete disinformation up to this moment, as there was during
every organization you can think of, though, has some sort of pro-vaccination campaign that they're running, whether it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, even the WWE. Comcast has one. Everybody's got one where they're like, hey, get your shot, get your spot, take your shot. All that stuff is happening right now. But
Right. But of course, at a certain point, that kicks in with the law of diminishing returns. I've seen that commercial 50 fucking times. I'm sick of Beyonce rolling up her arm. Big fucking deal.
Fuck
right?
You, Beyonce.
Right. It doesn't mean anything. But there was the picture that went viral yesterday on purpose was of Ivanka Trump getting her shot. Okay. And that story that you're posting right now, I love it so much.
It is so great, isn't it?
It is the ultimate contradiction of what am I supposed to think? How am I supposed to react? Because here's Ivanka Trump, the daughter of Donald Trump, the guy who at the same time who lied to the country about the coronavirus and how dangerous it was pushing a lot of money towards whatever kind of distribution there might be or development of the vaccine towards some companies to help out Operation Warp Speed, which by most measures was pretty successful. So here it is a year later, and he lies about the fact that he got vaccinated in January. She, like any celebrity, goes out there, gets it, puts the picture out there, and the Trumpers, they don't know what to do because remember, government is always the problem. Government's never the solution. And Donald Trump was the embodiment of, I'm going to elect and vote for Donald Trump because he's not really government, but he actually was government because he was the president of the United States. And in that small little slice of Donald Trump world, he did the right thing for one moment, which is push money towards the development of a vaccine, which now does exist. And his daughter is taking it. And now is Ivanka Trump, is Donald Trump, are they both part of the deep state, which I'm supposed to be against because I love Donald Trump and I hate the deep state. Well, I don't know what to do. What should I do? How should I react to Ivanka Trump getting the vaccine? She should not get the vaccine, right? She shouldn't get it to show solidarity with all of us people.
Well, there's
right?
two problems.
That's why I love the story. I love the
story. She got the vaccine, and number two, she posted it on Instagram, which I think is owned by Facebook, and Facebook has banned her father. So she's obviously out of solidarity. She should absolutely not even post it on Instagram.
You just added another layer to this cake of craziness. You just added another layer, of course.
The story we just posted was from Raw's story. Trump supporters explode in rage at Ivanka after she encourages others to get vaccinated. And my favorite quote from their little story was one guy that goes, one MAGA supporter that goes, "I'm starting to lose faith in the Trump family."
Starting. Right. This is what did it. Encouraging an attack on the entire constitutional system of the country to overturn the election.
Line.
I was with him with that. That was cool.
Line.
That was great.
But if that bitch is
getting a shot,
if that bitch is going to be out here trying to get people's lives saved, then fuck them. I mean, that's essentially what's going on here. I found it to be fantastic, and there's nothing about the story that I don't like because people lose their minds about it. Like you said, these people they're massive hypocrites in and of themselves. The fact that they secretly got injected back in January, some of the family did. She chose not to back then, but then she does it a few months later and decides to make it all public and shit. It's unbelievable.
Here's the next question locally here, because you do get to ask everybody, have you been vaccinated yet? Anybody that ever says, I shouldn't have to tell you, that's my personal business, you know what? They're right in that category of people that we said 4 years ago, you better cut them out of your life, whether they're relatives or friends or coworkers. If they voted for Trump and you can't deal with them anymore, no Thanksgiving dinner anymore. If someone now says, I will not tell you whether I got the shot or not, it's not your business, they're done. And in the case of North Carolina politics, Lara Trump, who apparently may run for the U.S. Senate, she needs to immediately tell everyone the truth. Is she an anti-vax whack job nutcase who is never going to get the shot because she thinks it implants some kind of liquid that Bill Gates can turn into a transmitting device to hear you and see? Is she that, or did she just get it? Did she get it as early as possible, or is she saying, I haven't been able to get it yet, I'm not in the right age category? That's off the boards now because basically everybody can get it that wants it. There's nobody in this country right now, just about, that if you make the minimal effort and you're not a shut-in somewhere that has no access to a phone or a computer and you have no friends or relatives, okay, those people, they still can't get it. But just about everybody else, it's not that hard to get. I would say right now it's actually easier to get the coronavirus vaccine than it is to vote in some places. Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I didn't do much, did I?
This was the Lara Trump, the story that I just got. I'm putting it up right now. Apparently she was on Fox News Radio, which does still exist in some shape or form. We have rich experience with that particular entity. And she says, we can't get a straight answer on masks from the Biden administration. Listen to the quote.
Oh, this is from 2 days ago. Yesterday.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out exactly what their messaging is in general, because we know that 12 masks are better than 11. We know that 13 masks are better than 12. I mean, how many masks is enough for these folks? It's so crazy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I guess you just answered the question, didn't you? About getting the vaccine, right? There you go. If you're still playing the mask game, okay.
Well, that sounds senatorial to me. That's who I want as my senator from North Carolina right there. Somebody who's just as stupid and putrid and idiotic and moronic as that, asking ridiculous questions.
You know, Britt, I'm an Ohioan, so I tend to, from a distance, sometimes look at the news coming out of Ohio and the political news now. And, you know, we've got kind of a rogues gallery of folks who want the Republican nomination to run against Richard Burr in 2022. You got that Mark Robinson, the lieutenant governor. You got Pat McCrory. You got Trump's daughter-in-law, maybe, and you got Mark Walker, the congressperson. Well, you know what? Those four may be a Mount Rushmore compared to the folks who may be scrambling to get the Republican nomination for the open Senate seat in Ohio. Because the latest name that has popped up, and there's already at least one perennial crazy. He's like the Harold Stassen of Senate candidates and governor candidates in Ohio. His name is Josh Mandel. I think we've talked about him. He's out of his mind. He's just the worst. But now this guy, J.D. Vance, who you may be familiar with that book, Hillbilly Elegy. You may have seen the movie. It was turned into a movie. I think it was Meryl Streep in it last year.
Yeah, that was a Netflix film.
Netflix thing. Okay. And I read the book when it came out. He published it right after the 2016 election, but he finished the book before the election, maybe even before Trump was Trump. And it did a fairly good job of diving into, what drove a lot of people that we thought, how could they vote for Donald Trump? How could they vote for these Republicans who sneer at them? But he made the case it's the Democrats who are the bad guys. And if you live in Appalachia and you have no chance of advancing and you become a drug addict, you are stuck and you're going nowhere. And it really explored that part of American life because he grew up there, but he pulled himself through with his grandmother, who he called Mama. And he ended up, I think, going to Harvard or Yale, went to law school. And so he's at that level. And over the last few years, suddenly he's become more political and he's chosen his side, and it's right wing, and it's getting crazier right wing. It's getting Trumpier and Trumpier and Trumpier day after day after day. I implore you to look at his Twitter feed. It's fucking out of. And his latest cause in the last week is, why are they picking on Tucker Carlson? He's the only guy who speaks truth to power. And he's all in on the white replacement theory. J.D. Vance, he wants to be the Republican nominee for Senate in Ohio. So he went from being what I thought, because he was like the conservative right-wing guy that liberals would read the book and go, man, this guy's making some, and that was not going to help him, right? So he pitched that aura aside, and now he is that guy. He's all in. He's a regular on Fox now, and when I saw the tweets that have him defending Tucker Carlson this week, wow, you are way on his reservation and off of
no, we haven't really discussed white replacement theory as such. Tucker Carlson is putting forward that Democrats are trying to import a bunch of brown people and black folks that would pretty much replace the good law-abiding, I'm putting quotations in my hand, law-abiding, God-fearing white folks. And that is his version of what has been around, decades, if not centuries, when it comes to, certainly it sounds like some Nazi terminology to me, and we are being diluted. And what he said was, I'm paraphrasing, is if you had parents and you were their kids and they brought in new kids, and the new kids were able to have new bikes and stay up whenever they wanted to and eat whatever food they want to, but then you had to go by the same old rules and had to go to bed at 8:45, and you had to use the same old crappy bike, and you had to eat your broccoli, but the new kids were able to just run around the house and do whatever they wanted to. You'd be pretty pissed off about it.
Yeah,
that's what
I'll tell you what, Britt. I go to sleep every night wishing that I had grown up in Guatemala in dirt poverty, with my sister being grabbed and put into prostitution by drug dealers and criminals, and then I got to walk all the way 1,500 miles through Mexico to get to them. Those are the privileged people. Who are either in this country or want to be in this country. Those are the privileged people. Let me expand what we're hearing about this replacement theory.
Sure.
And there is a great piece that I read by Dahlia Lithwick, who's the legal genius reporter for Slate. And she takes it apart and adds a whole bunch of things as to what Tucker Carlson is really saying. It's not just, oh, one for one. If I bring you in and your vote is diluted because a new person is here who is of the wrong color, who is not likely to vote for. No, this is about all kinds of people who vote the wrong way right now. It's people who move, say liberals who move from New York to Vermont, which used to be a very conservative state, and now Vermont is a blue state. And I would venture to say that the biggest number of people who have moved state to state in the last year, and this is not in the article, this is just me trying to figure out where she was going with this and extending it out. A lot of people left California and moved to Texas, right?
That happened.
Now, I haven't seen any polling or any surveys on what the political makeup of Californians who have left that state for a variety of reasons to move to Texas, because the stereotype is, well, the taxes are lower. There's opportunity in Texas. They don't tell you how to live your life in Texas. You're free to be you in Texas. You can have as much land as you want in Texas. In California, the house you're living in, Britt, would cost $1.8 million. Okay, you can't afford to live in California, Britt. So you're going to leave Texas or you leave California and move to Texas. Well, but at the same time, Texas is experiencing a tremendous change demographically from people just through natural population growth, Latinos. So Texas is turning blue, and it isn't just because of new arrivals from south of the border. I would submit to you that a lot of people from New York and from California are moving to Texas, and replacement theory for Tucker Carlson extends to that, because they go to a great place like Texas, and what do? They vote the wrong way.
That's right.
They vote blue.
That's right.
So anybody that doesn't vote the way you want them to is replacing you. You're doing the wrong thing. So yes, the obviousness of the surface racism of what Tucker Carlson has said that goes back to Nazi ideology is true, but it's worse than that if it's possible. It's hard to believe, but it's worse than that.
He doubles and triples down, and I guess Lachlan Murdoch has said, yeah, we're pretty much okay with what he's doing. As long as he keeps raking in those numbers at 8 o'clock, we're pretty cool with it. As long as he's selling those gold and those reverse mortgages, he's rocking.
Yeah, but how does he say? He says, well, Tucker Carlson isn't talking about race. He's not really talking about race.
That's even worse, really.
So of course it is. Of course it is. It's worse.
That's even worse. Right. To go ahead and try to insult my intelligence, that's exactly what he's talking about. That's particularly what he's talking about. I mean, the guys, right, like you said, this feels like the Glenn Beck 2009, 2010, 2011 run during the Tea Party, when he really got up his steam and became this folk hero to all of these conservatives. And eventually, at some point in time, he'll either become, the Republican nominee for the presidency because he finishes pretty high in those polls, or he'll end up losing some of his steam, and he'll be like Glenn Beck was too crazy for Fox. Roger Ailes eventually had to call Glenn Beck on and go, it's over. I'm sorry, we're going to. And by the way, where did Glenn Beck go? Where did Glenn Beck go after he left Crazy Town? Texas, right? Went straight to Texas. Yeah, that's exactly where he went. Well, we've heard about this for years in North Carolina, where we would hear about all of these people from up north. I'll use the term Yankees, and they're coming down here, and they're stupid politics. They're bringing their stupid politics with them, and blah 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 blah. You would hear that all the time, right?
Yeah, except I always thought it was a myth for this reason. There are parts of this state that were never parts of the stereotype of this state.
Yeah,
that they've not been that way, and I can think of Orange County,
yeah,
and Durham County, and Mecklenburg County,
right,
and Guilford County,
yeah,
that are not that. Those, this whole country now is divided up kind of the way North Carolina is, which is that in almost any given election, half the voters will vote Democratic, and they will be clustered in urban areas and in the surrounding suburbs close in. And then the rest of any given state, and you can just pick it: Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, Wisconsin, Michigan. The 90% of counties that are not considered to be urban, well, they'll be red in their character in the way that they vote. And so North Carolina's always been that way, I think.
Right.
And I think that's how we continue to get very often Democratic governors and Republican senators. Okay. Because remember, those are the only offices that are statewide elections. They're not gerrymandered. They're ungerrymanderable for now. Although I take it back. I don't know if you saw this story. I don't have it in front of me. Just saw it in passing yesterday. Apparently, Idaho wants parts of Oregon to secede and join Idaho. Idaho wants to expand its landmass to become what would be the third largest state behind, I guess, Alaska and Texas in square footage. So they want Western Oregon. In fact, they want almost all of Oregon except for, I think, like the last 100 miles to the coast, but they want the other 700 miles worth of Oregon heading towards the Idaho border. I don't know whether that includes up through Washington also, to become this giant state. I mean, this is how crazy they are. There it is. Yeah, 3/4 of Oregon. 3/4 of Oregon is what they
Idaho lawmakers here pitch to absorb 3/4 of Oregon. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, but by the way, this is not The Onion. This is not the guy in the New Yorker, Borowitz, making up shtick. This is real. This is real stuff.
Representatives of a group called Move Oregon's Border for Greater Idaho outlined their plan in a joint meeting of Idaho lawmakers. So this actually made it to an official body from the House and the Senate on Monday. The Idaho legislature would have to approve the plan would expand Idaho's southwestern border to the Pacific Ocean. The Oregon legislature and the U.S. Congress would also have to sign off. So if Oregon just gave up on that half of the state, they would say it's all yours.
Yeah.
Supporters of the idea said that rural Oregon voters are dominated by liberal urban areas such as Portland. And you know what those hippies in Portland are doing? They're just like those hippies in Asheville. And they would rather join conservative Idaho. Portland would remain with Oregon. There's a great long-time cultural divide as big as the Grand Canyon between Northwest Oregon and rural Oregon, and it's getting larger, said Mike McCarter, president of Move Oregon's Border for a Greater Idaho. That's that story right there.
Of course, that's never going to happen. Oregon isn't going to give up. It's just stupid. It's not going to happen. But that long-standing story of how California has wanted to, there are people that want to cut up California into several different smaller states. To me, that always sort of kind of made more sense than something nutty like this,
right?
Where you just steamroll somebody else's land. Okay.
Seems like it.
Right. And I'm not, that's probably not going to happen either, because you can just see how the lines might be drawn to favor, and they would be gerrymandering, Senate seats and House seats also across lines that did not exist before. They would be between states instead of just congressional districts, because a congressional district can't cross a state line. So
yeah, you can't really do that.
you can't do that. But with that in mind, I think we can close out today talking about the story that apparently is not going to happen, but we don't know for sure. We'll see what happens. On Monday, a couple of members of the House and I think a couple senators put out the idea. I think this starts in the House to add 4 more Supreme Court seats. And it's going essentially nowhere right now. Nancy Pelosi said, no, it's not going to happen. Dick Durbin over in the Senate, not going to happen. But what they did was they went halfway. They said, well, we want to hear what the commission that has been appointed and put together by Biden to study the issue, and then we'll make some kind of decision. But as of right now, whatever kind of legislation sitting there. No, don't even think about it. And I just want to go on record one more time, because there could be a point a few months from now where this really does become a thing, where more justices are added. And, it's been at 9 for 160 years, but it wasn't written in the Constitution. It's just
exactly
kind of always been that way.
the number is
So
not in
no-
the Constitution. That needs to be
numbers
said.
on it. Right. But because control of the language is everything, I reject the use of the word court packing, which was used, of course, against Franklin Roosevelt when he rolled it out in 1934 or something, whenever he did it, and it went nowhere.
You got smacked down.
He got smacked for it. But today, certainly, you cannot accuse the discussion or the thought of adding 4 more seats to the United States Supreme Court to get it to 13 as packing the court. Here are the following words that you can use. Expanding. How about this? Retrofitting. How about upsizing?
I like that.
All these kind of words that are used that are very often associated with architecture or employment. Okay. When we fire a bunch of people, we're downsizing. When we add people, we're upsizing the workforce. Okay?
Can we go with McDonald's and we're supersizing the court? Can we supersize?
Well, right. But if anyone can be accused of doing court packing, in other words, stuffing your nominees into slots that already exist, that would be packing. That's putting more underwear into your suitcase and jamming it in there.
That's right.
And closing the suitcase and having to stomp on it to get it to close so you can close the latches. It's Mitch McConnell and the Republicans, because they held up dozens of Barack Obama's nominees for federal court positions at several levels for 8 years. They would not listen to any of them, and the seats stayed open. And then when Trump became president, he filled these seats very quickly on orders from Mitch McConnell, on orders from the Federalist Society, who vetted judges, many of whom sucked and were completely unqualified, some who were qualified but were right-wing pieces of shit. Okay. And so the Republicans stuffed the courts there. And that doesn't even get to what happened at the Supreme Court when Mitch McConnell packed the U.S. Supreme Court with Neil Gorsuch into the slot that was vacated by Antonin Scalia when he killed himself by suffocating himself with a MyPillow.com over his head. And they refused to talk to or consider Merrick Garland, and then Trump wins the election, and you get Neil Gorsuch. Okay, and by the way, I would also it's a half pack for what happened with Amy Coney Barrett, which is they talk Anthony Kennedy into retiring, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he retires so that Trump can put her in there. It was with her, right? It wasn't with Kavanaugh,
right?
I think.
I think that's
I'm
right.
pretty sure it's like I guess when there's 3, it's hard to remember. It's hard to
it is tough,
but it happened. Kennedy resigned, and what happens? Well, that's kind of sort of packing the court. That's not letting natural evolution occur. Wait, I'm wrong. It was with Kavanaugh. It was with Kavanaugh because Ruth Bader Ginsburg died.
And she was replaced by Amy Coney Barrett.
And they jammed her with Amy Coney Barrett. So,
which is a great replacement, right up there with Thurgood Marshall being replaced by Clarence Thomas.
Right.
Really, equally fantastic replacement.
Right. So don't talk to us about how this would be the end of the world. This would be the most anti-constitutional thing. This would be against America itself. This would be a lawless power grab to add 4 more justices. These are the same people, Republicans, who apparently don't consider it a lawless power grab by a president of the United States to overturn an election and cause a riot and a near assassination of high government officials. That's okay. We don't talk about that. That wasn't a big deal. But the idea to constitutionally pass a law to add 4 more, that would be the end of the world. You know what? Fuck you, all of you, and the horses you rode in on. Bite me. That being said, you know, they have to consider it, be very, very careful about it. I get that. But please, don't even go there. Don't even go there, you idiots. It's just ridiculous. All right.
That's our show for
Anything
today.
else?
That's all we got.
All right. That's the best we've got. And we'll continue this next Wednesday.
Wednesday,
So,
everybody.
Everybody has the weekend off, and we'll see you then.